From Lori, Dr. Clavenstone, I presume. I know you're not a feminist. I'm an anti-feminist, and the complementarian in me worries it's silly to ask this question. Who are some female authors or poets you admire in the Western canon? Do you think great authors have the same greatness, or are great male authors and great female authors different somehow? Really good question. There are many women authors that I admire. Look, so far, most of the truly great authors have been men. When I say great authors, I mean authors who wrote great work after great work after great work. Guys like Shakespeare, Dickens, Tolstoy. The only one who stands up among them is Jane Austen. She is the only person who wrote great work after great work after great work. She wrote 6 novels. 4 of them are terrific. She is a great genius. But there are many women who wrote great books. Not that, I shouldn't say many. There are several women who wrote great books. Middlemarch is a wonderful book. Jane Eyre is a wonderful book. Wuthering Heights I'm not as fond of, but it's definitely up there among the great books. One of my favorite authors living today is Donna Tartt, and obviously as more women have been able to write, more good writing has come out of women. And so you're asking, is there a difference between the way men and women write? It's a good question. I would say, yeah, there definitely is. I can almost always tell. I mean, I shouldn't say this as a brag, but when I'm reading an article, I can almost always tell within one paragraph whether I'm reading a man or a woman. I think that when you read great women writers, though, they have, like Jane Austen, when they do movies of her books, they're always very fluffy and they're full of carriages and bonnets and all that. You read her book, she's just as nasty as it's possible to be. Very insightful, ironic. I do think I stopped reading novels by women in the modern era because I found them all dishonest. I found feminism had made them dishonest. But a good woman writer, I will not say a good woman writer writes like a man. Women write like women, and I'm not sure what that is exactly. It is not about it's not about emotionalism. It's not about interior life. It may be a sort of attention to the detail of social interaction that defines them. I mean, Henry James had that, but not like Jane Austen had it. I think that when I read women writers, the one thing they're really good at is at the very small details of the way people interact. But I think each writer is his or her own person. And I think that there's no essential difference between great male writing and great female writing. I wouldn't want to limit that in any way, because a guy like Henry James is, in a way, a female writer. He's a very feminine writer. I think he's one of the great writers of all time, but he is a feminine writer. And somebody like Jane Austen has insights that normally has a kind of nastiness and hardness that normally you would think would come from a man. So it's very hard to detail. Like I said, Jane Austen is the only female writer I would call a great writer on the level of the greatest of male writers. I don't think any female has matched her yet. And by the way, just as a side note, I'm a big ghost story fan, and women have written some of the best ghost stories. They're really terrific ghost stories. I don't know why, but they do.